In the upcoming videos, I'm gonna give you 11 pro tips to help you on your pull-up journey. I'm gonna share with you all the techniques I've used to improve my pulling game and then also to help my students. The first one we have to begin with is going to be your breathing. So this is something that people tend to forget or neglect when they're doing their pull-ups. So this is either you're actually doing the pull-ups or you're doing a pull-up progression. You really need to focus on your breathing. So the thing is, the exercise you're doing is placing tension on the body, but you have to still make sure that within that tension, you find some phase of relaxation, right? Because when your body is somewhat relaxed during the movement, it's going to be a lot more effective. So how you breathe is going to be very, very vital to your performance. This is going to be the difference between you getting your first pull-up, you increasing your repetitions, and it's going to be the difference between that or getting some injuries in the neck, shoulders, and back. So I'm going to give you 2 tips that you can start to implement. The first one is a good rule that I teach my students, and I always remind myself when I'm doing the exercises, is going to be when you are doing the hardest phase of the movement, that's when you exhale, right? So let's say if I'm hanging on the bar, then when I'm pulling up, which is the concentric phase, I actually want to breathe out. And the thing is, your breath is actually leading the move. It's really happening simultaneously, but for you guys to just get the understanding, just think of it as I'm starting to exhale and then I do the pull. So I pull myself up. And then at the top position, when I'm allowing myself down and controlling myself down, then I'm inhaling. So this is gonna make each repetition a whole lot more manageable, and this is gonna help your progress in that training session and then also in your training sessions to come. That's the technique I recommend you do when starting out as beginners and learning how to control your breathing, and then you can move on to this technique, which is very effective for doing low repetitions. So let's say, for example, you're trying to do 1 rep, right? You're trying to get your first pull-up ever, or you're trying to increase your pull-ups from 1 to 2 reps, you work with the low reps, so 1 to 3 repetitions. And with this technique, you're holding your breath, but in a controlled manner, right? I'm not holding, my breath like that. No, I'm bracing the core, I'm breathing in, and then I hold my breath, and then from there I do my pull-ups, right? And this is an effective way to increase your strength levels and just get the work done, right? So it's only effective for low repetitions. If you're doing high repetitions, it's gonna cause too much damage to the body. So these are the pro tips that you guys can start implementing. So pro tip number 1 is the one that beginners start with, and then you start to control and manipulate your breathing for you to actually perform a whole lot better. And then the pro tip number 2 is a technique you use later on in your journey when working with low repetitions and intense exercises, like attempting your first pull-up or harder variations. All right, guys, so I will see you on the next video.